Welcome back, Hijinks Nation. We're back for another exciting episode. Today, the topic is going to be building networking relationships. So, like every episode, we're going to focus on the DJ industry, but a lot of what we're going to talk about is it's going to help all businesses, especially small businesses. Relationships is where we build bridges and where we can help each other be successful. So let's just start off, guys. What are some good, valuable, professional relationships? Give me some examples of things that you've built with other people in the community.
With other people in the community, I would say like a venue, building relationships with a venue, no matter if you're the professional or if you're just a client. I think that's a super good idea. And no matter what venue it is, speaking of venues, you usually think like reception halls and different things like that. But as far as venues, I mean, if it's, whether it be a reception hall or whether it's the gas station you stop at every Saturday on the way to your gig, building that rapport with people, I think is super important and helpful to help you, not get what you want, but help you help them, if that makes sense.
So you're saying you're on a first name basis with the worker at the Burger King drive-through window.
Oh yeah. Kevin, he's a new guy. He's only been there about 3 weeks or so. Super nice though. He gave me some cookies last time I was there, but yeah, no big deal.
Helping him help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So like building relationships, the big thing I think about like initially building relationships is the initial relationships that I built with other DJs. So like yourselves and things like that. Like if we wouldn't have met through, we met through another DJ friend of ours, his name's Jared, met through him, but, we wouldn't have started this podcast. We wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have spent, $1 million over the last year and a half of knowing you guys, which has been great because through this networking and getting to know each other, we've pushed each other to be better, we all have our strengths and things like that. Joe pushes us to be better with the lighting, and then Jesse, you're pushing better with the monograms, and then I push because hey, we need to do this with our up lighting, and hey, we need to go wire, we need to do this, and so being able to push each other that way is a really good way to build a relationship to make yourself better, not just with venues and photographers and all, which are super important too. But I think that was the biggest one that I kind of came out of when we were talking about this, is the relationship that we've built, and I built with other DJs around my area and things like that. And, you just, like you said, just raising the level of everybody, rising water rises all ships. So the better we can make everybody around us, the better we look, the better they look, the better the industry looks, all that sort of thing. So,
yeah, one of my passions has become networking with other DJs. Some are receptive to it, some aren't. That's okay. Not everybody has to love me. I'm a special personality that only certain people can handle. But I've networked with DJs all over the country. I've got great friends. It's the power of social media. We can talk to anybody anytime we want. I've got good friends that are DJs out on the East Coast. I've got good friends, DJs down in Texas, up in Wisconsin, all over the place. And just the click of a keyboard, I can ask them any questions. And you'd really be surprised how different a wedding reception in Iowa or Nebraska can be from a wedding reception in New Jersey. The styles, the money that's spent, they take weddings a little bit differently on the East Coast than they do here in the Midwest. So it kind of helps me talking to these guys, bouncing ideas off and saying, why do you do it this way? Or what are some things you've seen? And it lets me be different than some other DJs in my area. I'll use one little example. And this isn't a Midwest thing, but it's a different culture. It's a different area thing. And out on the East Coast, they do a lot. Their weddings out there are I think there's a lot more really high-end, elegant, they take it not more seriously, but they invest more out there. You can look up average price of a wedding in New York and it'll blow your mind. But with that, maybe they have a 4 or 5 course meal versus a buffet line that we typically have here in the Midwest. A lot of these DJs will actually DJ a 10 or 15 minute dance set between courses. So can you imagine getting your salad, you're eating your salad, all of a sudden you're on the dance floor dancing to maybe they'll start with some 70s, celebration or something like that. You eat your dinner, go back to the dance floor. Maybe it's an 80s dance party for 10 minutes. You go eat your dessert, you come back. Now it's time to start the party. So I bounce those ideas off of people. Those traditions aren't in the Midwest yet, but those are things that I've gotten from networking with other DJs in the country.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool to network with other DJs. Like we said, this is how all of us came together, but we've also talked about it. Like we just talked about it the other day, going on a road trip to see all these DJs, going to see like, how do they do business different? How are there certain things that they do that we don't do? So I think that's one beneficial thing is networking with, I don't want to say your competitors, but networking with other people and seeing how they do business, whether you're selling cell phones or you're selling shoes, you're selling something. And how does that relate across the two disciplinaries? And how does that compare of what you're doing to what I'm doing? I think there's a lot to be said and a lot to be learned about differentiating your sales tactics.
Sure.
And I also,
go ahead.
To cut you off, Kyle, but networking with like-minded people, you guys and my other close DJ friends, it gives me an outlet to, just vent my passion. Our other friends that aren't in the industry, we can talk about Evolve 50, SX2, Inno Pocket. Like we can throw these technical terms and they're just blank face. They don't understand. So
worse, our wives.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They say, go call Kyle, go call Joe.
Yeah. Not talking about that.
But just, I think keeping that fire lit and that passion, having a couple guys to say, hey, look at this new thing I saw, or look at this new way of doing things. And then they respond and say, heck yeah, that's awesome. So I think that's really valuable. Like Joe said, no matter what business you're in, if you just have somebody that thinks like you, it keeps you guys pushing each other up and up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your discipline is. There's somebody else out there that has that same exact passion you do. If your passion is graphic design, there are so many people you can reach out and talk to and get ideas from and things like that. I really thought about trying this layer and I tried this. And, there's so many other people who can geek out with you that know exactly what you're talking about. If there's anything that's, meeting with you guys and some other DJs in the industry has taught me is that I'm not the only one out here who really loves what they do and really loves doing this. There's so many of them out there, and the bulk of them are really excited to talk to other people about it and also get ideas and run ideas past them. And, hey, I was thinking about this. What do you think about this? Because even if you do work in the same area, I can't do every wedding every single Saturday.
Right.
So it's okay if you get the gig and I don't, because guess what? Next time I might get it and you don't. It's okay. But yeah, there's all sorts of things that are so good from doing it. But yeah.
So we've talked about networking with other DJs. How do you network and build those relationships with, so I've also talked about venues kind of. How do you do it with, say, a photographer? How do you build that relationship with a photographer? Jesse?
So part of my planning process with my couples is I ask them if they've found a photographer yet. Usually they have. If not, I give them some great recommendations of people I've worked with. But the reason I ask that question, why it's valuable to me, is then I can reach out to that photographer for a couple different reasons. For one, to just extend that hand and say, I'm not going to fight against you. I'm going to work with you.
Right.
When it comes to my lighting for First Dance, let me help you get great pictures. Do you just want my lights off? Do you want whitewash? Do you want lighting to help you get good pictures? Otherwise, I'll just leave them off. Whatever you want, I'm going to help you. At the end of the day, good pictures for the client is what we want to help them get.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason is because I love good quality pictures of what I do. We can all pull up our phones and take pictures of our setup. We can take pictures of the first dance, but at the end of the day, they're a cell phone picture.
Right.
So if you reach out to that photographer, my typical message when I reach out, if I haven't worked with them, I send them a link to my website or my Facebook page, say, this is who I am, this is what I do. If you happen to catch any good pictures that you wouldn't mind me using for promotional use or social media, I always tag you. I always give you photo credit, promote your business as well, because that's the only way that I get high quality images. I don't have a photographer come with me. I know some DJs actually do. They bring somebody with a high quality camera to capture pictures of them all night. And I wish I could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's my networking with photographers. And then once they see how catering I am to them and how much I want to help them get good pictures, that turns into more leads for me.
True.
Yeah,
Kyle?
sure. Yeah, I do a lot of the same thing. It's also on my planning form. Hey, who's your photographer? I ask for other vendor names too. Obviously, the venue and place that it is. But then when I talk to those photographers, it's a lot of what Jesse just said. Hey, what kind of light are you looking for? Is it okay if I use a wash white light? It's going to be all pure white light, so you don't have to bring a flash. You don't have to have that other stuff.
Right.
They'll be good ones. Do you want them more to the sides? Do you want them head on? Do you want them, and I try to do those if the setup allows me to kind of move those around and do that. They don't always, unfortunately. But I do what I can to make sure that they're getting the quality photos without having to work extra hard and set up extra equipment. And, I don't want them to have to set up a giant ring light and a giant, I've had
A soft
photographers.
box.
Yeah. I've had a couple that brought gigantic soft boxes. I was like, yeah, you don't need those. Like, we got you covered.
Right.
So, I try to be, like you said, as accommodating as possible, because I have, I actually just I think it was 2 weeks ago. They ended up going with somebody different because it was somebody who was closer to them, but I got a referral from a photographer that did a couple this last summer. So
Nice.
So when you ask the questions or they ask you questions, do you respond with what is?
Always.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
Oh, what is like?
Is it time?
Are you doing Jeopardy?
Yeah, and sometimes they call me call me Alex, so that's my stage name.
Oh.
So,
And you're like, Mr. Kyle, are you available for that weekend? And you're like, what is
yes?
Yes.
What is for shizzle? All right.
For shizzle.
All right. I think last time we started with Jesse, so this time Joe's going first. So best of luck to you, sir.
So this is trivia, just for anybody
Trivia.
seen the past episodes. Kyle's segment is always just
trivia. I love trivia. I love random knowledge questions. It's the best.
Yeah.
And these guys know, because it makes them look really good and super smart.
So I think we have to answer with a question this time. I think that's way more.
Well, it's going to be kind of hard because I just answer questions. So do you want me to give you the answer and then you have to ask the question?
No, we have to answer your question with a question.
Okay. Joe, how many squares are there on a chessboard?
One second.
Wouldn't it be what is?
It would be.
What are you doing? Googling it?
60. What is 64?
Yes, Google did a very good job that.
No, I didn't Google that. I promise. I promise.
Out of here.
I promise I didn't go.
I was counting castles. Bishops.
You had to look down at your phone and type for
No,
Yeah.
I
He
was
looked
doing
down
it
his
on the
phone,
table.
phone,
You guys are so mean to me. I was doing it on the table. The answer is 64. Do you know how many
Okay.
are on checkerboard?
Hold on. Yeah, I know that one. Hold on.
Get out of here.
All right. All right, Jesse. How many events are there in a decathlon?
10.
Yes. Good job. Hey, every once in a while, you got to get a softball. Wait till later.
I didn't even have to Google it.
Oh
I
my!
know.
I didn't
You're so good
Google
at this game.
I actually know how to play chess, guys. I know I don't seem like the chess type, but
No.
no.
You super do.
You wouldn't wear this to a chess match.
Okay. So for this next answer, Joe, we're going to need to see your hands the whole time so we know you're not typing anything. Okay. What money do they use in Japan?
I know.
The yen.
Good job. All right.
Pretty versed.
Jesse, again, a kid's question. You got this. Who wrote The Ugly Duckling?
Oh god.
Mary Tyler.
Tyler Moore. I played this game. I know that's one of the answers. Hans Christian Andersen.
Hans.
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 All right, Joe, you're a foodie. What is the Hungarian word for pepper?
Baklava.
Not even close. If you would have thought about it, you might have been able to get it.
Hey, pepper.
Paprika.
Oh, well, that's dumb.
Is it though? Okay.
Sorry to all of our Bulgarian fans. I'm sorry.
I just Googled baklava. It looks delicious.
Yeah, baklava
It
is
is.
delicious, dude. So good.
It is really good. Okay. Jesse,
It's a
who
layer.
sang I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas?
Who sang it?
Yep, the original person to sing it.
Oh.
The Chipmunks?
Not even a little. Bing Crosby.
Really?
It's Bill's brother.
What's that?
Bill's brother.
Yeah.
Oh, would like some pudding?
No, he's Bing Crosby's very white.
Bring me some figgy pudding.
He actually had a movie called It's a White Christmas.
It's weird.
All right. Joe, what year did Elvis Presley die?
1978.
Ooh, that was actually super close.
To say that has to be close.
1977.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, nice. That was good though.
Fun fact about Elvis. Did you know that my dad was a huge Elvis fan and my name was almost Elvis and my mom had to convince him not to name me Elvis. That's why my middle name is Aaron with one A, much like Elvis's. And I was born on Elvis's birthday.
I'm glad. Thank you, Lori, for convincing him not to name this guy.
Yeah. Really bringing down the name Elvis there. We would have been there.
Shout out to Madre.
I would have never messaged you if your name was Elvis.
No.
I think you're forced to at that point, actually.
No.
Okay.
Okay. That's so weird. I didn't know that.
Yeah. The more you know.
That's odd. Okay. But Jesse, where was Marco Polo's hometown?
Isn't that why you say Marco?
Polo.
Yeah, what was his hometown?
Paris, France.
Ooh. What would you if that would have been right?
No, because
his name was Venice.
Venice, Italy.
Venice.
Because he's an Italian conquistador. Oh, no, that's Spanish. Never mind. He's Italian. Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead and stop while you're behind.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Another date one. Joe, you got this on the last one for you. In 1891, what country gave Florida to the USA?
What is Spain?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Good job.
No way.
Oh, shoot. I didn't see his hands. He probably Googled it.
My hands are up here.
Even had the accent.
All right. Jesse, I'm gonna throw you a softball here.
That's good. That's good.
Who is the main actor in Cocktail?
Tom Cruise.
Very good. Give the man an applause.
Not bad. I did like that segment mostly because mine were a lot of guessing, but it was good. Kyle, as always, thanks for Jeopardy. Well, not Jeopardy. Trivia. Dance break. All right, we're done with that. Too much fun.
All right, back to professional networking.
That was pretty professional.
That was very professional. We got just a few minutes. I want to touch on one more area. I don't know how much experience you guys have. I know you have a couple. Wedding planners and event coordinators. Have you guys linked up? Have you found a good connection with any of those?
Good
I have
connection. No.
I have some friends that are wedding planners, but I mean I've had a couple from them. But besides that, I don't have a lot of couples that use wedding planners, just because of the age range and different things like that. Financially, they'd rather spend money on the bar or more money on the food or different things like that. I think is their mindset. So I haven't had a lot. I've maybe had six or seven that have had wedding planners, but the majority don't know. So unfortunately, I don't have any relationships, and I haven't really reached out like I guess I should be to make those connections.
Yeah, I guess kind of the same for me. I've dealt with a few. Unfortunately, all the ones that I've dealt with, I tried to make those connections, but unfortunately, unlike us, we were talking kind of like with the photographers, hey, what can we do to help you? What can I do to this? All the ones I've always run into, it's basically their way or no way. And unfortunately, every time that I've done it, their way isn't a good way. Like just the way that they wanted it set up, the way they wanted the timing to work. I was like, that's not going to work. They want to get those things, and I don't know if you guys have ever done them, a faux send off where you send people out. The night isn't over, but you're telling them it's over. You're going to take pictures, and then you got to try to get everybody to come back inside and start having a good. It's
tough because people want to get car at that point. People are like, oh, I'm already outside. Why not just leave?
Yeah.
So
the faux send-offs that usually, in my experience, comes from the photographer being ready to leave, but they want to get that picture, which it's not a good idea because then it gets people in the mindset of wanting to go home.
Yeah. Because they all think that it's time.
But when it comes to the wedding planners, I think I can give you guys a little bit of insight here because you haven't had the same experience as me. So I think your guys' experience, what I'm hearing, the control freaks or the ones that want to come in and have their hands in everything, maybe tell you what songs to play, maybe tell you how to announce something, not trusting you.
Right.
In my experience, that comes from new wedding planners or, wedding planners pop up and disappear all the time because after a bride plans her wedding, she's now experienced.
Yep.
And she thinks she has all this experience, which she does, her own experience, but not every bride thinks the way she does. But then they become an event planner or day of coordinator, and they come in and they don't know exactly what to do. So just bossing everybody around seems to be, this is my, but I've had good experience. So you guys have had negative experiences. I've had some good experiences with planners. Um, Basically, the relationships that I've built with a couple planners, um, they do my work for me. They kind of sell me because they've worked with me in the past, so they can talk me up, share their experience. Basically, hopefully they're telling the truth. If they're saying good things, hopefully it's the truth. But by the time their couples meet with me, the trust is already instilled because this event planner has already said, I've worked with him. He's trustworthy. He does a great job. This is his style. And they let me do my job. Because they've worked with me. I guess I get a couple that haven't worked with me, and in my planning process, I try to do some diligence and build that trust level, let them know, like, this isn't my first rodeo. I've been to a lot of weddings.
Right.
I don't know how many weddings you've coordinated, but I'm willing to place a lot of money that it's not as many weddings as I've DJ'd.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and mine, and maybe my negative connotation is just kind of because the first one I ever worked with, despite the fact that she had to be kind of paid ahead of time, she had to be paid. When I initially was talking to this bridegroom, which I was, almost a year out for, she had to have her thing in, but she wouldn't talk with them about their wedding until the month before.
Oh.
She's like, no, because I'm like, well, can I reach out to her? Can I talk to her? Like, no, you can't reach out until the month before because she doesn't really start planning stuff on her end until then. It's like, what? Like, so she's booked already. She's like, that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so you're taking this people's money, you're planning their wedding,
But you're not.
but don't talk to me for the next 10 months, and then I'll tell you what we're doing.
Well, and
And so that might have been where I'm just like, okay, no thank, so that might
Right.
have just been my negative connotation going in. And so I just kind of placed that on all the other ones that I've seen. And unfortunately that hasn't broken me of that habit just yet, but.
Well, and I have had one good experience. I will say I had one good experience, and I actually still talk to the lady. She refers a lot of weddings to me, because I did a good job, and we really got along. And I will agree with Jesse. So I'm kind of in the middle of you two. I will agree with Jesse. If you get in with a wedding planner and you build that positive relationship, like we've been talking about, you really can. It makes the wedding better because they know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly how they work. It's just like working with the same photographer, the same videographer time and time again. You learn how each other work. Jesse, Kyle, I've never been to a wedding with you, but Jesse, if I came to a wedding with you, you wouldn't even have to really tell me what to do, or I wouldn't have to ask you anything, or vice versa, because we've done enough together that I know what you're doing. You know what I'm doing. If you have to go to the bathroom, you don't have to worry. Like all of that stuff, that it's taken care of and you don't have to worry about anything. So I see the wedding planners kind of as that, almost a second hand. If they're good wedding planners, I think they're worth their value for sure.
Yeah. And I think that I would really enjoy working with a wedding planner. Again, if I had that kind of really good relationship, and I maybe I just need, like you said, just reach out and talk to some more people, try to find a good one, things like that. Because, at a lot of times, and you guys know this too, sometimes we end up being the wedding coordinator. We end up being the people who have to run around. Okay, we're ready for the first dance. Okay, is the meal ready? Okay, are we done with this? Okay, are we ready for this? Getting people lined up, getting people, and I know I go out by myself. Jesse, 9 times out of 10, you're by yourself. Joe, 90% of the time, you're by yourself. So, for 7 hours, we're kind of running around with chickens with their head cut off as coordinators. We're the DJ, but we're kind of making sure everything goes because we're the one with the mic, so we can tell people what to do. So I think I would enjoy working with somebody, especially if they did a really good job like you guys were talking about. But, like I said, unfortunately, I just kind of had that really negative experience the first time, and it just kind of put that sour taste. And I really haven't had a great one since then. So it's just kind of where it is for me.
I think I think that was a good, it's a good conversation about networking. Jesse, you got anything else to add?
Nope, I actually got a screaming kid back here, so we can wrap it up at any time.
All right.
No
Well,
problem.
sounds good. Make sure to, Jesse, what do you always say?
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Yep. All right. Until next time, Hijinks Nation, we out.